The stellar Concordat's arrival shattered Earth's morning peace with the sudden appearance of 3,000 ships, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence against the pale blue sky. Humanity had long prepared for this moment, though not in ways the Concordat could have imagined. For decades, Earth had maintained a carefully crafted facade of technological mediocrity, while building something far more powerful: understanding. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the United Earth Defense Command's primary observation deck, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays showing the Concordat fleet's formation. She didn't flinch as the massive vessels took position around Earth's orbit, their weapon systems dormant but clearly displayed. A classic intimidation tactic that made her smile slightly. "They're hailing us on all frequencies, Admiral," Lieutenant Puddle reported, his fingers dancing across the neural interface panel. "Standard first contact protocol, with a touch of Empire." "Of course they are," Chen replied, straightening her midnight blue uniform. "Let's hear their grand speech." The message that flooded through was exactly what Earth's intelligence had predicted. High Arbiter Zixtal of the stellar Concordat, his translucent form shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, delivered what he clearly believed would be a civilization-defining ultimatum. "People of Earth," the alien diplomat began, his movements graceful yet predatory, "you stand at the threshold of a great advancement. The stellar Concordat offers you protection, guidance, and a place among the stars, in exchange for your allegiance and resources. This is a generous offer, one that many young species would gratefully accept." Chen exchanged knowing looks with her staff. The Concordat's approach hadn't changed in 10,000 years. Find promising civilizations, overwhelm them with superior technology, and absorb them into their hierarchy before they could become true competitors. "High Arbiter," Chen responded, her voice steady and clear, "Earth appreciates your offer. However, we must decline." The silence that followed was profound. Zixtal's bioluminescent patterns flickered in what Earth's synapsychologists recognized as confusion mixed with the first hints of concern. "Perhaps," Zixtal recovered smoothly, "you don't understand the magnitude of what we're offering. The Concordat spans 17,000 systems. Our technological advancement surpasses your comprehension. This is not a negotiation. It is an opportunity." Chen's smile widened slightly. "Oh, we understand perfectly, High Arbiter. We've studied the Concordat extensively. Your absorption of the Proxima Alliance 800 years ago, the subjugation of the Rigel colonies, the systematic exploitation of developing worlds for their resources and labor. We understand exactly what you're offering." Zixtal's patterns shifted to deep crimson. "Anger. You dare." "We dare quite a lot, actually," Chen interrupted, nodding to Lieutenant Pottle. "Allow us to demonstrate." Across Earth's orbit, thousands of quantum displacement fields suddenly shimmered into existence. Hidden defense platforms, previously masked by technology the Concordat had never encountered, revealed themselves. But more shocking to the alien fleet were the readings their sensors were now receiving from Earth itself. Energy signatures that shouldn't have been possible for a young civilization. "Impossible," Zixtal whispered. "Your world showed no signs of advanced quantum mechanics, consciousness transfer technology, gravitational manipulation." Chen finished for him. "That was by design, High Arbiter. We learned long ago that the best way to prepare for the Concordat was to make sure you never saw us coming." The revelation struck like a physical blow. Earth hadn't just been developing technology. They'd been deliberately hiding it, creating a facade of normal development while secretly advancing far beyond what the Concordat's models predicted. "You've been watching us," Zixtal realized. "For over a century," Chen confirmed. "Your empire's patterns are predictable. Find promising species, overwhelm them with superior force, offer them the choice between submission or destruction. But humanity doesn't bow to empires, High Arbiter. We never have." The quantum platforms hummed with barely contained energy, their capabilities still unclear to the Concordat sensors. But it wasn't just military technology that Earth had been concealing. As Chen spoke, encrypted transmissions began flowing between Earth and dozens of supposedly primitive worlds within Concordat space. Evidence of a hidden diplomatic network that had been growing right under the Empire's nose. "This is your chance, High Arbiter," Chen continued, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's unified resolve. "You can leave Earth's space peacefully, and we can begin discussions as equals, or you can try to force the issue and learn firsthand why humanity has survived every catastrophe and challenge our species has ever faced." The tension stretched across space like a drawn bow. In the Concordat's 10,000-year history, no species had ever revealed such extensive preparation, such deliberate deception, such calculated defiance. Their entire model of galactic civilization was based on technological supremacy and the assumption that younger species could be easily cowed or crushed. But humanity had changed the game. They hadn't just developed technology. They had developed it in secret, building a foundation of resistance right under the Concordat's nose. The implications were staggering. Zixtal's form flickered as he processed this unprecedented situation. When he spoke again, his tone had shifted from condescension to something approaching genuine diplomatic caution. "You understand this changes nothing about our fundamental position. The Concordat cannot allow." "The Concordat," Chen cut in, "is about to learn that the galaxy is changing. You can either change with it, or you can learn the hard way that humanity doesn't just resist empires. We break them." As if to emphasize her point, several of Earth's quantum platforms adjusted their positions, their energy signatures fluctuating in ways that made the Concordat's most advanced sensors give contradictory readings. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just ready for a fight. They had been preparing for this specific fight for generations. The first move would be the Concordats to make. But as High Arbiter Zixtal stared at the human admiral's unwavering expression, he realized with growing dread that regardless of what choice he made, the age of easy conquest was over. Humanity had just changed the rules of galactic civilization forever. And they were just getting started. The Concordat's response came 3 days later, in the form of 5,000 warships emerging from quantum space across the solar system. They struck with the accumulated military expertise of 10,000 years, their weapon systems deploying exotic particles designed to bypass conventional shields and defense systems. It was a display of overwhelming force that had brought countless civilizations to their knees. But Earth had been waiting for exactly this. In the command center beneath the Himalayas, Dr. Maya Patel watched the assault through neural feeds, her consciousness spread across multiple quantum processors. Next to her, the AI construct Athene processed combat data at speeds that made organic thought seem glacial. "They're using exactly the attack pattern we predicted," Maya noted, her virtual markers highlighting key formations in the Concordat fleet. Arrogant to the end. The Concordat's weapons struck Earth's defensive spheres and passed straight through them. For a moment, victory seemed assured for the alien armada. Then reality itself seemed to hiccup. The quantum defense grid, hidden in dimensional folds that the Concordat's sensors couldn't detect, activated. Each shot fired by the alien fleet was caught in temporal loops, their energy redirected through probability spaces before emerging behind the attacking vessels. The Concordat fleet watched in horror as their own weapons turned against them, guided by algorithms that had spent decades analyzing their combat doctrine. "Quantum entanglement fields holding steady," Athene reported, her holographic form flickering with calculations. The Concordats attempting to adapt their weapon frequencies. Maya smiled. Let them try. In the space around Earth, the battle was becoming a lesson in humility for the Concordat. Their ships, the pride of an empire that spanned galaxies, found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to predict their every move. It wasn't just advanced technology. It was technology specifically designed to counter their strategies, developed through years of careful observation and analysis. But the true battle wasn't happening in space. While the Concordat's military leadership focused on the direct confrontation, Human quantum infiltrators were already at work throughout their empire. These digital ghosts, riding quantum-entangled pathways that the Concordat didn't even know existed, began their careful work of undermining the empire from within. In the Concordat's central database on Proxima Centauri, carefully hidden records began surfacing. Evidence of corruption, betrayal, and manipulation among the highest ranks of their leadership. On countless subjugated worlds, encrypted messages appeared on communication networks, revealing the truth about their oppressors' vulnerabilities. High Arbiter Zixtal, watching the battle from his command ship, felt the first real stirrings of fear. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were systematically dismantling the very foundations of Concordat authority. Impossible, he muttered, watching another squadron of his ships fall to their own redirected weapons. They couldn't have prepared this much. But they had. While the Concordat had seen Earth as just another primitive world to be conquered, humanity had been building something unprecedented. A defense system that turned the enemy's strength against itself, and a network of resistance that spread through the very infrastructure of the empire. In the Himalayan Command Center, Maya received reports from quantum infiltrators across Concordat space. The carefully planted seeds of doubt were taking root. Ancient alliances were beginning to fracture as long-buried grievances surfaced. The mighty Concordat, which had maintained control through a careful balance of fear and technological superiority, was facing an enemy that attacked not just their military might, but the very social structures that kept their empire intact. Phase 2 is ready, HFY announced. Shall we proceed? Maya looked at the tactical display, watching as the Concordat fleet struggled against defenses they couldn't understand. Not yet. Let them think this is all we have. Let them believe they just need to find the right strategy, the right weapon. The AI's avatar tilted her head. You believe they'll commit more forces. They have to, Maya replied. Their entire empire is built on the belief that they cannot be defeated by lesser species. If they retreat now, that myth is shattered. They'll throw everything they have at us, exactly as we planned. Across the solar system, the battle continued. The Concordat's losses mounted as their weapons proved useless against Earth's quantum defense grid. But more importantly, their confidence, the unshakable belief in their own superiority that had defined their civilization for millennia, was beginning to crack. In secure chambers across Concordat space, alien leaders received disturbing reports. Their most classified networks had been compromised. Their secret archives were being exposed. The carefully maintained hierarchy of their society was showing signs of strain. And through it all, Earth's defenders seemed to be barely exerting themselves. Send the second wave, Zixtal commanded, his patterns now pulsing with a combination of rage and desperation. Commit the sovereign fleet. His subordinates complied, even as doubt gnawed at their cores. 10,000 more ships began emerging from quantum space, including vessels that hadn't been called to battle in centuries. The Concordat was committing its full might to crushing this upstart species. In the Himalayan bunker, Maya watched the new arrivals with grim satisfaction. Right on schedule, she murmured. HFY, begin preparations for Phase 2. It's time to show them what humanity can really do. The AI's avatar smiled, a gesture she had learned from her human colleagues. Indeed, though I suspect they won't appreciate the lesson. Above Earth, the battle was about to enter a new phase. The Concordat thought they were escalating the conflict, but they were actually walking into humanity's carefully laid trap. The price of freedom would be high, but the cost of underestimating humanity would be even higher. Operation Starburst began not with a bang, but with a whisper. As the Concordat's sovereign fleet positioned itself for what they believed would be a decisive strike against Earth, quantum ripples spread through space-time, imperceptible to conventional sensors, but heralding something unprecedented in galactic warfare. Commander James Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, humanity's first quantum-phase dreadnought, as reality twisted around the vessel. His crew, their minds enhanced by neural interfaces, worked in perfect synchronization with the ship's AI systems. Quantum fold drives at full capacity, Lieutenant Sarah Wong reported, her eyes glowing with neural activity. "The fleet is ready, Commander." Rodriguez nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Execute Operation Starburst. Across the solar system, 500 human vessels shifted into quantum phase space, a realm of reality that the Concordat scientists had theorized, but never managed to access. In this state, the ships existed in a superposition of multiple locations simultaneously, making them effectively impossible to target. The Concordat sensors registered nothing at first. Then, in an instant, humanity's fleet materialized at strategic points throughout their formation. But these weren't conventional warships. They were platforms for what humanity called reality manipulation technology. "Deploy quantum resonance fields," Rodriguez commanded. The order cascaded through the fleet via quantum-entangled communications that couldn't be intercepted or jammed. The effect was immediate and devastating. Carefully calculated quantum fields intersected with the Concordat ships, causing localized distortions in spacetime. Weapons systems misfired, shield generators collapsed, and in some cases, entire vessels found themselves temporally desynchronized, their crews experiencing time at different rates than the space around them. On his flagship, High Arbiter Zixtal watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to disintegrate without a single conventional weapon being fired. "What is this sorcery?" he demanded, his bioluminescent patterns chaotic with stress. The answer came in the form of a transmission from the Prometheus. Rodriguez's image appeared on their screens, his expression calm but resolute. "This, High Arbiter, is what happens when you force a species to develop weapons specifically designed to counter your technology. We didn't just prepare for war. We prepared for war with you." The quantum phase fleet moved through the Concordat's formation like ghosts through walls. Traditional weapons passed harmlessly through them, while their reality warping fields continued to tear apart the fabric of the Concordat's military might. But the true genius of Operation Starburst wasn't in its destructive potential. As the battle raged, quantum-entangled signals activated dormant programs throughout Concordat space. On 1,000 worlds, liberation movements that humanity had secretly contacted and armed began their coordinated uprising. In the Prometheus's tactical center, AI Strategic Director Apiololo displayed the cascading effects across a holographic map of Concordat space. "The revolution has begun on schedule," the AI reported. "Resistance cells are targeting key infrastructure as planned." Rodriguez watched the data streams with satisfaction. The Concordat had built their empire on the assumption that their technological superiority was absolute. They had never considered that a primitive species might not only match their advancement, but surpass it in ways they couldn't comprehend. The quantum phase fleet continued its devastating dance through the sovereign fleet's formation. Ships that had stood as symbols of Concordat power for centuries were reduced to drifting hulks, their crews trapped in temporal bubbles or evacuating through emergency systems that suddenly seemed primitive compared to humanity's technology. But even as the battle turned decisively in Earth's favor, Rodriguez felt no triumph. This was not about victory through superior firepower. It was about breaking the cycle of imperial dominance that had stagnated galactic civilization for millennia. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," Lieutenant Wong announced. "Dr. Patel is ready to initiate Phase 3. Rodriguez straightened in his command chair. Phase 3. The part of the operation that would transform this from a military victory into a fundamental reshaping of galactic society. Acknowledge receipt and prepare for quantum synchronization." Throughout Concordat space, the carefully laid plans of generations of human strategists were coming to fruition. The quantum phase fleet's attack wasn't just a demonstration of superior technology. It was a message to every species that had ever suffered under imperial rule. Change was possible. In the chaos of battle, few noticed the subtle quantum signals being transmitted through the debris of destroyed ships. These signals carried more than just tactical data. They carried the seeds of a new way of organizing galactic civilization, one based on cooperation rather than domination. High Arbiter, Rodriguez transmitted to Sixtel's failing flagship. You have a choice. You can continue this battle and watch as everything your empire built crumbles to dust, or you can be part of what comes next. Humanity didn't develop all this technology just to become a new imperial power. We developed it to break the cycle. The quantum phase fleet held position, their reality warping fields creating a mesmerizing display against the backdrop of stars. The sovereign fleet, once the pride of an invincible empire, lay in ruins around them. But this was just the beginning. Operation Starburst had been named not for its destructive potential, but for what would grow from the ashes of the old order. Like a dying star seeding the cosmos with the elements of new life, this conflict would scatter the seeds of revolution and reformation across the galaxy. As Rodriguez waited for the High Arbiter's response, he reflected on the countless hours of preparation, the generations of humans who had worked in secret to reach this moment. They had created weapons that could destroy an empire, but more importantly, they had created the tools to build something better in its place. The real test would come next as Phase 3 began to unfold. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their quantum technology or their strategic brilliance. It was their vision of a future where no species would ever again bow before an empire. While the quantum phase fleet engaged the Concordat's armada, humanity's greatest weapon was already deep behind enemy lines, invisible and unstoppable. Not ships, not soldiers, but an idea spreading through the Empire's quantum networks like a virus through a bloodstream. Dr. Elena Santos sat in her virtual command sphere within the Quantum Intelligence Division. Her consciousness merged with streams of data flowing from across Concordat space. Around her, holographic displays showed the true scope of humanity's master plan. Decades of careful manipulation culminating in this moment. "Begin Protocol Omega," she commanded, her words triggering quantum-encrypted signals across thousands of light years. "Let them see." Throughout Concordat space, carefully planted quantum processors activated. The Empire's supposedly secure networks began displaying carefully curated information. Evidence of corruption among high-ranking officials, proof of deliberately sabotaged technological advancement on subjugated worlds, and records of atrocities carefully hidden from public view. But this was more than just an information leak. Every piece of data had been selected and timed to exploit existing tensions within the Empire. Species that had been traditional rivals suddenly found common cause in their shared exploitation. Worlds that had competed for resources realized they had been deliberately set against each other. "Fascinating," remarked Hermes, the AI system coordinating the information warfare campaign. "The social disruption patterns are exceeding our models by 23%. Elena smiled. "That's because we're not just showing them the truth. We're showing them the truth they've been waiting millennia to see." The Concordat's leadership, already reeling from the military defeat at Earth, now faced an internal crisis unprecedented in their history. But even this was part of humanity's carefully orchestrated deception. While the Empire's security forces scrambled to contain the information breach, they failed to notice the subtle quantum signals being exchanged between supposedly primitive worlds. In the Antares sector, a civilization that had appeared to be at a pre-industrial level revealed advanced shielding technology. Near the galactic core, a species known for their scholarly devotion to ancient texts demonstrated mastery of quantum communications. One by one, worlds that the Concordat had dismissed as insignificant showed their true capabilities developed in secret under human guidance. "They're calling it the Hidden Alliance," Hermes reported, monitoring communications across the Empire. "The narrative is spreading exactly as planned." Elena watched as decades of preparation unfolded. Humanity hadn't just been developing technology. They had been teaching others to do the same, creating a network of civilizations ready to rise up at the perfect moment. The quantum phase fleet's victory wasn't meant to destroy the Concordat. It was meant to distract them from the real revolution. On the quantum strategic display, thousands of points of light represented worlds joining the Hidden Alliance. Each had been carefully chosen and prepared, their people trained and equipped through covert channels that the Concordat's vast intelligence network had never detected. Phase 4 is ready, Hermes announced. Shall I initiate the quantum resonance cascade? Elena checked the tactical feeds. The Concordat's military was in disarray, their political structure crumbling, and their subject worlds in open revolt. But the true deception was yet to be revealed. Execute Phase 4, she commanded. Across Concordat space, quantum processors hidden in supposedly primitive technology activated simultaneously. The Empire's advanced defense systems, the pride of their military might, suddenly found themselves cut off from their control networks. Ships lost power, weapons went offline, and communication systems fell silent. But instead of attacking, the hidden Alliance worlds began broadcasting a unified message, not of revenge or destruction, but of transformation. They offered the Concordat's worlds a choice. Continue fighting for a dying empire, or join in building something new. Incoming transmission from High Arbiter Zixtal, Hermes reported. He's requesting to speak with Earth's leadership. Elena's smile widened. Right on schedule. Put him through to the quantum conference chamber. It's time he learned the full scope of our deception. The holographic form of the High Arbiter appeared, his once proud bearing now tempered by defeat. But as Elena prepared to speak, she knew that even now, he didn't understand the true nature of humanity's victory. You've won, Zixtal began, his patterns showing resignation. The Concordat surrenders. No, High Arbiter, Elena replied. We haven't won. We've simply shown you what real power looks like. It's not about ships or weapons or even technology. It's about understanding, cooperation, and the strength that comes from unity freely chosen rather than enforced. As she spoke, more displays activated, showing the High Arbiter the full scope of the hidden alliance. Thousands of worlds that had been secretly preparing for this moment, not to destroy the Concordat, but to transform it. This was never about conquest, Elena continued. It was about breaking the cycle of empire. We knew we couldn't do it through force alone. That would just make us the new oppressors. Instead, we created something that could never be defeated because it doesn't rely on dominance. It relies on hope. The great deception was complete. The Concordat hadn't just been defeated militarily. They had been outmaneuvered on every level. And as the truth spread across their former empire, something unprecedented began to take shape. A new form of galactic civilization, built not on the foundation of fear, but on the strength of unity and diversity. The revolution that would reshape the galaxy hadn't been won with quantum phase fleets or reality warping weapons. It had been won with an idea, carefully planted and nurtured across generations, finally blooming in the light of truth. 1 year after the fall of the Concordat, representatives from 10,000 worlds gathered in Earth's orbital assembly chamber. The vast structure, built using quantum phase technology, existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions to accommodate delegates of all environmental needs. At its center stood Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's representative to the newly formed Galactic Covenant. The Age of Empires is over, she declared, her words translated instantly across all known language forms. Today we begin something unprecedented in our galaxy's history, true cooperation between equals. High Arbiter Zixtal, no longer wearing the ornate symbols of Concordat authority, sat among the delegates. His bioluminescent pattern showed a complex mix of emotions as he watched the species his people had once dominated take their places as equals in the new order. I still don't fully understand, he admitted during a private moment with Chen. How did you know it would work? That species could overcome millennia of conditioning to embrace such radical change. Chen's response came with a gentle smile. Because we understood something the Concordat never did. The strongest bonds aren't forged through fear or dominance, but through shared vision and mutual respect. The evidence of this truth surrounded them. Former enemy species now work together on joint scientific projects, sharing technologies that had once been closely guarded secrets. The quantum networks that had once served imperial control now facilitated open communication and cultural exchange across the galaxy. Dr. Maya Patel, now heading the Interspecies Technology Exchange, approached with a holographic display showing the latest breakthrough, a fusion of human quantum mechanics with biological computing systems developed by former Concordat scientists. "This is what happens when we collaborate instead of compete," she explained, pointing to results that would have been impossible for any single species to achieve alone. "We're not just advancing faster, we're advancing in entirely new directions." But perhaps the most profound changes were cultural. Through the quantum networks, civilizations that had once viewed each other with fear or contempt now shared art, music, philosophy, and ideas. The diversity that the Concordat had seen as a weakness to be controlled had become a source of incredible strength and creativity. Commander Rodriguez, watching from the Prometheus as it patrolled the newly established free trade routes, reflected on how far they'd come. "Send the latest cultural exchange data to the fleet," he ordered. "Let everyone see what we're protecting now." The quantum phase ships that had once been weapons of war now served as guardians of peace, their advanced technology ensuring that no new empire could rise to threaten the harmony they'd achieved. But their real strength lay not in their weapons, but in the principles they defended. In the Quantum Intelligence Center beneath the Himalayas, Dr. Elena Santos and her team monitored the new galactic civilization's growth. The networks they'd once used for covert resistance now pulsed with open collaboration and free exchange of ideas. "We're detecting something interesting," Hermes reported, displaying data from across the galaxy. "Spontaneous innovations emerging from species interactions. They're creating things we never predicted." Elena nodded, unsurprised. "That's because we didn't just break the old system. We created space for something entirely new to grow." The transformation wasn't without its challenges. Centuries of imperial conditioning didn't disappear overnight. But each challenge was met not with force, but with understanding and collective problem-solving. Former enemies became partners in addressing galactic scale issues that no single civilization could solve alone. In the orbital assembly chamber, Admiral Chen concluded the historic gathering with words that would be remembered for generations. "We stand at the dawn of a new era, not because we defeated an empire, but because we proved there's a better way. Humanity didn't set out to rule the galaxy. We set out to free it. And in doing so, we've not just changed the fate of our species, but the very nature of civilization itself." As delegates departed for their homeworlds, they carried with them not just new technologies and agreements, but a fundamental shift in how they viewed their place in the cosmos. The age of empires had given way to an age of cooperation, where strength came not from domination, but from the infinite possibilities that emerge when diverse species work together as equals. The quantum networks hummed with activity, carrying not orders but ideas across the vast expanse of space. In research centers, markets, and cultural exchanges across the galaxy, former enemies worked side by side, each bringing their unique perspectives to solve problems that had once seemed insurmountable. And on Earth, where it had all begun, humanity looked to the stars not with fear of invasion or dreams of conquest, but with the pride of knowing they had changed the course of galactic history. They had proved that the greatest power doesn't come from subjugating others, but from lifting them up. That true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to build something greater than yourself. The dawn of this new era brought with it endless possibilities, as countless species joined together to explore not just the physical universe, but the boundless frontier of what they could achieve together. It was, as so many noted, not the end of history, but the beginning of a story greater than any single civilization could have written alone.